it's September, and that means hunting seasons are either started or kicking off any day now. I get a lot of questions about broadheads. I primarily shoot VPA 3 blades. This is the 1¼ inch. I'll also shoot 1 1/8 inch. Both are absolutely devastating. So with a 3-blade broadhead, it's never going to feel quite as sharp as a 2-blade, just because the angle of the bevel isn't quite as fine. That being said, with just a couple simple tools, I can get them really, really sharp. This is a cheap Smith's stone. I think they're like maybe 20 bucks. It's got a fine and a coarse side. And I use just a ceramic honing rod to finish them up. If they're really, really beat up because I shot into dirt, rocks, little dings, chips, nicks, I'll touch them up with a file before I go through this. A lot of it is just learning the technique on how to get it done. I used to press so hard, and that's not the case. I find more strokes, but a lot lighter, does a really nice job on these. So this is a head that I recently sharpened. Let's see if we can get it. I mean, it's sharp, like really sharp. That's very little effort and a whole lot of shaving. This is the same head, but I've been shooting on my practice arrow. So, I mean, it's dull. I can push as hard as I want. It's not gonna cut me. It's certainly not gonna shave hair, and it probably wouldn't even cut me. I've shot this a lot at a target. So I'm gonna walk you through my method for getting this sharp. When I sharpen these heads, I just have a piece of arrow shaft with an insert in it. This one has some tape on it that I was using to hold at one point. And I put it on that to hold this for sharpening. I'm looking at it now and I can see there's no real, it looks pretty good shape. It's not really too beat up because I've been shooting into a target, but I will touch it up with this file first. So I like to rest it on my leg. So I'm gonna hold it, my wrist against my thigh to hold it, lay this on here. I'm not gonna press hard. I'll even lay the back of the arrow down on my thigh to help steady it. And I'm just gonna go nice and easy. And I can feel it gripping up here in the tip. This is catching. I'm just using the weight of the file basically. And once it'll change sound and it'll change feel. See, that's a very different sound. I'm just gonna move through these until I feel like I've got it even all the way around. So I've moved through all the sides and it's a nice even tone. There's no grinding. And when I look at the head, it looks smooth and even, and I can feel that I have a burl lay around. It feels sharp right now. I mean, it'll probably, yeah, people do the thumbnail trick, and it bites the thumbnail real easy. And in years past, I would hunt with it just like this, but we can get it so much better. I'm gonna switch over to the coarse side of this diamond stone, and I'm gonna do same procedure how I held it. I'm gonna do 60 light strokes on this side. Rotate the blade, 60 light strokes, rotate the blade. After that, I'll do 30 light strokes per side, 15, 7, and then I'll count down and do 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 on each side. There's a million ways to do this, but for me that works. It's in my head. It takes a little while. I don't go that crazy on a head that's fairly sharp already, but one that's been really dull, I like to take it all the way down. Once I get through all those strokes on the coarse, I'll follow the exact same procedure on the fine, and then we'll touch it up with the ceramic. So my actual technique with the stone, I think it matters. It's light strokes, and you want to hold it where the back of this arrow is supported here, right here, and I'm holding it lightly in this hand so it can pivot. I want it to pivot. So when I lay this on it, it can rock. I don't want to come at an angle and do one of these numbers. I want it to lay perfectly flat on this stone and come across. I don't want to slam it into the back. I want to lay it flat, sort of let it find its center and push across. So I'm supporting it back here, but it can rotate in my hand. This lays on it, it can rotate. I hold it just enough here. Just pinch it enough so it doesn't flip over on me. You want it to find its center. Once you finish with that coarse side, the head is actually going to feel duller than when you just had done the filed edge. It won't shave hair anymore. I mean, maybe with a lot of pressure it could, but it's a more fined, polished edge. And this is where I think a lot of people give up. But if you just keep going, we'll get it crazy sharp. I'm going to switch over to the fine side and go through the same sort of numbers and technique I used on the coarse, and just start with a high count and work my way down as I go around. You don't need to go to that crazy high of a number with 60 strokes per side, then 30, and you can make up whatever you want. I just found with me, it works. I don't ever have to go back and touch it up. It's almost always perfect. Or sometimes I'll try to cut corners and start at 15 or 20 or 30. And when I do that occasionally, I'll have to go back and sort of touch it up again. So, but I'm gonna go to the fine now. So I ran through the fine, and it's starting to feel sharper, and with a little bit of pressure, it'll shave. But I mean, it's just taking a few hairs off and it's taking more pressure. So again, I think this is where a lot of people get lost, and they prefer the file sharpness because that sort of micro serrations that the files leave like sort of cut the hair better, and it feels sharper than even going through all these steps in the stones. Now I'm going to take it and put it on this, and I'm going to use the same technique. I'm just going to move it around in like sort of a circular pattern, just like this. I'm just going to keep doing that until almost all the resistance is gone and it feels like I'm pushing it across glass. When that happens, the sound will actually change too. It'll stop sounding so gritty and it'll sound smoother as it goes across. I'll just keep doing that on all sides, rotating around, and I can keep going around and around until I get a really good mirrored polish finish on these blades. When I get that, it'll be really sharp. Then throughout the season, as I take it in and out of the quiver, I just have to touch it up with the ceramic until I kill a deer with it. So we've taken this from really dull to a really coarse sharpness with the file, but it would grab hair and it felt sharp. Through the coarse stone where you sort of lose it and you think you're getting it duller, to the fine stone where it starts to get sharp again, to the ceramic. And the ceramic is really nice, sort of with just a little bit of effort here. It's taking off absolute piles of hair again. And I can get this even sharper by continuing with this ceramic. So that's how I get these really sharp. Stick with it, learn the technique. It's more about lots of light strokes than trying to grind that to an edge. It really puts a sharp sort of mirror polish on it, and man, it really pays off. When I take new blades out of the pack, I don't bother with the file. VPA, they come really good. I mean, unless you can tell that something's wrong and there was a blemish, I wouldn't even hit it with the file. I start with the coarse and run through the stones. I might do less because they're fairly sharp coming out of the pack, but a lot of times I'll run the exact same series of strokes that I do on a duller head. And It might remove a little more material than you absolutely need, but once you get them sharp, they stay sharp a long time. So these are really nice. So that's how I do it. I can get these VPAs incredibly sharp, shaving with very little effort, even without a fancy jig or fancy tools. I think this file was probably $9. This sharpener maybe 20 bucks. And this was a broken piece of a kitchen sharpener that I stuck in an antler. So for just a few dollars, you can get these really nice. I have hundreds and hundreds of dollars of sharpening stones and sharpening steels, but this is my go-to, and I can throw it in the truck and take it with me. So